Florida woman was attacked and killed by alligator while canoeing with her husband, and her husband was just watching without any help. What happened? Actually, how did it happen? Let's deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're tackling a really tragic story today. Happened down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
A 61-year-old woman killed by an alligator. This was on Lake Kissimmee near a place called Tiger Creek.
Yeah, it's awful. We've got some news reports, some expert takes on this to sort of piece it together.
Right. The idea is to understand what happened, how unusual this is, and maybe what it tells us about, living alongside wildlife.
So the basics seem to be this. The woman and her husband were out canoeing near Tiger Creek.
Okay.
And they apparently paddled accidentally right over an alligator.
Oh, wow.
Which you can imagine triggered a pretty immediate aggressive reaction. The gator thrashed, the canoe flipped over.
Right. Chaos.
Total chaos.
Yeah.
And tragically, the woman landed right on top of the alligator. And that's when she was bitten.
That's just horrific to even picture. The reports mention the husband.
Yeah.
He tried desperately to save her.
Yeah, fought the alligator. Brave, but ultimately couldn't stop it. There were apparently radio transmissions from the sheriff's office detailing his efforts. He even noted where he last saw her, left his paddle there as a marker, kind of.
God, shows the speed of it all.
Absolutely. The authorities responded quickly, though. FWC, that's the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, and the sheriff's office.
And they found her.
A sheriff's helicopter spotted her body, yeah. And the FWC recovered her from the water.
Okay. And what about the alligator? Did they find it?
Well, they brought in a contracted trapper. Standard procedure, really.
Right.
And this trapper caught two big ones nearby. One was huge, over 11 feet. The other was between 10 and 11 feet.
So pretty large alligators.
Definitely. And this is important that the sources are clear that it's unconfirmed if either of those gators was the one actually involved in the attack.
Gotcha. So they removed large gators from the area, but no definitive link.
Exactly. And the FWC, they put out statements. Their executive director, Roger Young, offered condolences. He called it a, quote, somber reminder that we share Florida with, potentially dangerous wildlife.
A somber reminder, indeed. And they stressed these fatal attacks are rare, right?
Very rare, which is an important point. But what's also interesting, the sources mentioned another incident.
Yeah, I saw that. Same area, Lake Kissimmee and near Tiger Creek, just 2 months before.
A woman kayaking got bitten on the arm. Non-fatal, thankfully. Still.
Does that suggest anything? Is that area particularly bad or?
Well, one expert cited in the reports, Brandon Fisher, he speculates it might be linked to breeding season.
Ah, okay.
During breeding season, alligators get, more territorial, more defensive. Hormones are up. They might be guarding nests or potential nest sites.
Makes sense. So maybe not necessarily more aggressive overall, but more protective of their immediate space.
Exactly. Fisher's advice was basically be vigilant, give them space. Don't approach them in kayaks or canoes, small boats where you're close to the water level.
Right. He seemed to imply encounters are just inevitable sometimes.
Yeah, he said something like, in Florida, encounters are bound to happen, and sadly, sometimes they're just tragic accidents. It's not necessarily malicious intent from the animal, just instinct kicking in.
And the FWC stats back up the rarity thing, don't they?
They do. On average, Florida sees about 8 unprovoked alligator bites per year. 8.
8 bites a year across the whole state with millions of alligators.
Precisely. So when you put it in that context, fatal attacks are incredibly rare. Alligators generally want to avoid people.
It seems like these awful events often involve, like you said, specific triggers. Paddling over one, maybe cornering one, or, during sensitive times like breeding season.
A confluence of unfortunate factors.
So looking at this deep
What
dive,
safety measures
it's
should we
just a
take?
stark
Comment your
illustration of
thoughts.
how unpredictable
Thanks.
nature can be, isn't it? Especially when we venture into these shared environments.
Yeah, it's their home turf.
It really makes you think, How do we balance enjoying these beautiful wild places in Florida with respecting the inherent power, the potential danger of the creatures living there? What's our actual responsibility when we step into their world?